Naruto woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and groaned to himself. Great, another day with Team 7. Naruto rolled out of bed and took his shower. He sighed when he felt the cold water hit him. Figures the landlord wouldn't give me any hot water. Naruto stepped out of the shower and got dressed in his orange jumpsuit. He walked outside his apartment and took to the roofs. Somehow, I know today is going to bring me a lot of problems. Naruto landed in front of the bridge and scowled. He sat down to meditate under the bridge so he could increase his chakra control. An hour later, Naruto heard Sasuke and Sakura on the bridge. Sasuke-kun, would you go out with me today? No, said Sasuke sternly. Sakura pouted. But come on, Sasuke-kun. No, I am not going out with you. Sakura scowled and looked over the bridge. She spotted Naruto sitting on the lake meditating and she sighed. Naruto, stop trying to look cool. You're still weak, said Sakura, trying to get on Sasuke's good side by belittling Naruto. Don't want to hear your crap today, woman, came Naruto's gruff reply. Sakura's jaw hit the ground while Sasuke's eyes went wide. Did Naruto just insult Sakura? Thought Sasuke. Sakura fumed and threw a kunai at Naruto. Naruto tilted his head to the side and he jumped towards the bridge. Sakura growled at Naruto. Who do you think you are talking to me like that? Sakura reared her fist back to punch Naruto, but he caught her fist. I'm not having a good day, piss me off and you'll find out firsthand what a Rasengan to the face feels like, said Naruto coldly. Sakura turned pale and backed away from him. Sasuke narrowed his eyes and stepped forward. Dobe, what's gotten into you today? Sir, I'm not smiling like an idiot. Is there something wrong? Said Naruto. Well, yeah, said Sasuke. Too bad, deal with it, said Naruto as he closed his eyes. Team 7 waited in an eerie silence until Kakashi showed up. You're late, shouted Sakura. She stopped when Naruto didn't yell at Kakashi either. What is wrong with him? Asked Kakashi. Anyways, today we have some training, so. Which means Sakura, watch Sasuke spar with Kakashi and I need to work on chakra control, said Naruto with a sneer on his face. Kakashi's eye went wide. Forget it, I'm not going to waste my time here. Naruto walked away leaving a shocked Team 7. What got into him? Asked Kakashi. Sakura and Sasuke just shrugged their shoulders. Well, Naruto could take the day off, let's begin, Sasuke. It then dawned on him that he didn't even bother to train his students. Somehow, I know I screwed up badly, thought Kakashi. Forest sector. Naruto walked into the forest to get away from the people of the village. They were driving him crazy. So brat, you finally realized that you're fighting for a lost cause, came a snide voice. Shove it, furball, I'm in no mood. Oh, this is amusing, is this my Vassal's true face showing? Said the QB with a smirk on his face. Damn it, Fox, I am in no mode for your shit today, roared Naruto mentally. The QB just laughed in his cage. Fine, I'll leave you to brood like that closest homo friend of yours. Naruto sat under a tree and sighed. Why was I chosen to bear such a burden? Asked Naruto out loud. He sighed as he rested his head against the tree. He felt an odd pulse of energy and sprung to his feet. There was a strange arcane circle forming on the ground. Soon two figures came out of the circle. Naruto's eyes went wide as he stared at the two figures. So this is the human realm, pretty green if you ask me, came a haughty voice. Now my lady, you must behave yourself. You must remember there are humans out there that can easily defeat a demon. came a second, more sultry voice. Naruto stared at the two girls and his jaw fell. The first girl seemed to be around his age, maybe a little bit older. She had blonde hair tied up in a ponytail and she wore a black, white and red dress fit for a queen. Her crimson eyes scanned the area for any threat. She was pretty busty in his opinion. Her friend was a whole different story. She wore a black dress that stopped at the middle of her thighs. The dress clung to her figure, showing off her curves nicely. The top of her dress was unzipped, revealing her massive bust. She had long green hair and oddly enough horns and a tail. She wore steel-toed boots that reached her knees. What the hell? Said Naruto to himself. The woman with the green hair turned to him and tilted her head before squealing. That is the one princess. His aura is vastly different from the others. I trust your judgment, May, said the princess. The blonde-haired girl walked up to him and cupped his chin. And he is easy on the eyes too. He will do perfectly, said Rozalin. Yes, princess. Huh. What's going on? Asked Naruto. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Princess Rozalin of Makai. I came to the human world looking for a pet and I found him, said Rozalin with a smirk on her face. Naruto jumped back and got into a taijutsu stance. Hold it, Naru-kun, said May. How do you know my name? I have been watching you for a long time, Naru-kun. This village, your teammates, they treat you like trash. Not even demons treat each other as bad as they treat you, said May in a concerned voice. Naruto scowled. What do you know? I know you hold the Overlord Kyuubi in your stomach, said May as she put her hands on her hips. Overlord Kyuubi. He didn't tell you. I guess his pride was too wounded to tell you that he was once a powerful king of an alternate Makai from ours. Anyways, what the princess is trying to say is she wants you to become a vassal for her. Vassal? Asked Naruto. Rozalin smirked. Yes, my warrior for all eternity. TCH, why the hell would I want to become your warrior? What's the difference between being a shinobi for your Hokage? You serve her and you would probably die for her. At least in Makai, you would be well respected, said May. She smiled to herself as she watched his face flash different emotions. The seeds of doubt have been planted. Forgive me, my lord, but he deserves much better than this. So what is your choice, Naru-kun? Will you serve your Hokage and die without love and care, or serve the princess and gain respect from demons and grow stronger? Asked May. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Silence hung in the air before Naruto sighed. I'll do it. Just let me say a couple of goodbyes, said Naruto. Excellent, pet. Meet us back here in less than 2 hours, ordered Rozalin. Naruto scowled. Fine. He took to the trees and headed for his home. That was easier than expected. Are you sure he is the one? Questioned the princess. Yes, my lady, his mana is off the charts. It's a pure mixture of holy and demonic mana. I believe he is the one, said May. Naruto's apartment. Naruto scowled as he went through his stuff. Not much to take. He turned to a picture of Iruka and him standing in front of the ramen stand. Iruka-sensei, muttered Naruto. He created cage buncheons and sent them to write notes to the people he cared for. He scowled again and jumped out the window. He handed his Haitai 8 to one of the clones and gave it its instructions. Hot springs. A Naruto clone landed next to his perverted sensei and handed him a note. The clone bashed its head on the wooden barrier and dispelled itself. Jiraiya sighed as he took the note. Probably a summons from Tsunade. His eyes went wide and he vanished in a puff of smoke. Hokage Tower. Tsunade was actually doing her paperwork when Jiraiya practically kicked down her door. Jiraiya, there had better be a good reason for you barging in my office, said Tsunade as she cracked her knuckles. He is leaving the village, shouted Jiraiya. Who is leaving? I swear if it's the Uchiha brat again I will. No, it's Naruto. He is going to Makai, roared Jiraiya. Tsunade turned pale as she called the Anbu. Find Uzumaki Naruto and bring him back to the village. If any of you harm a hair on his head, so help me, growled Tsunade. Her intent was rolling off in waves. The Anbu shuddered before disappearing. Let's go, Jiraiya. Both Sannin vanished in a puff of smoke. Forest. Naruto walked to the part of the forest where he met Rozalin and Mei. Both girls were waiting for him. Ready to go, Naru-kun? Asked Mei. Let's go before the Anbu find me and drag me back. He sighed in irritation when he heard Tsunade screaming at him. What the hell do you think you're doing, brat? Shouted Jiraiya. He landed in front of Naruto and picked him up by the collar of his orange jumpsuit. Answer me. I know what I'm doing, damn it, retorted Naruto angrily. I'm tired of this village and the shit they put me through. I fought Shukaku with my own strength and protected the village, and I even retrieved that bastard Uchiha, and guess what? I get more things thrown at me. Chakra began changing into mana as Naruto grew angrier and angrier. I am sick and tired of how they treat me in that village, growled Naruto. My only chance of survival is to leave. Tsunade was close to tears. Naruto, please don't go, sobbed Tsunade. I'm sorry, Bar-chan, but I need to escape that hellhole. Naruto, please, I can't lose you two. I'll pass laws, I'll. Naruto stopped her rant by locking eyes with her. I'm sorry, Bar-chan, but you and I both know that it would only lead to more trouble. Rozalin watched the whole thing with disinterest and sighed. Mei sighed to herself and took matters into her own hands. How about this, Hokage-san? Naruto is allowed to come back to visit you and who he sees fit for a week's vacation, once every 2 months, proposed Mei. Rosalin's eye twitched. How come you're the one bargaining with my pet? Princess, shush, let me handle this. Take your pick, Hokage-san. Seeing Naruto for 6 weeks a year or not seeing him at all. Tsunade growled. And if you attack us, you would be waging war with Makai. I'm sure you don't want to risk it, said Mei with a grin on her face. Damn you. We accept, said Jiraiya. What? Jiraiya, how could you betray me? This is for the best, Tsunade. He can't survive here. My spies en route told me that they plan to either execute Naruto or put him in the root division. They want to make him a weapon. I refuse to let that happen, said Jiraiya. Naruto's anger was going into overdrive. So be it, 1 week every 2 months, said Tsunade. Good, we won't break our half if you won't break yours. Mei put her hands on Naruto's shoulders. Come on, kid, I can feel your mana and anger growing. If it continues, then there isn't much stopping demons from coming to you, whispered Mei. Naruto nodded. He gave Tsunade a hug and smiled at Jiraiya. See you in 2 months, Ero-senin. We will meet in Tanzaku-gai, just like the first time I met Bar-chan. All right, kid. Will do, said Jiraiya. Jiraiya slipped a scroll into Naruto's back pocket without him noticing. The Sannin watched as Naruto walked into a strange circle and vanished. Tsunade collapsed and began sobbing uncontrollably. This is for the best, Tsunade. His blood is beginning to awaken, said Jiraiya as he comforted her. Makai. Naruto opened his eyes when the bright light died down. He found himself in the middle of nowhere and growled. They ditched me, roared Naruto. He heard a guttural growl and turned to see himself surrounded by a mass of undead creatures. Naruto's eyes narrowed as mana began to spiral around him. Images of how he was treated in the past began to flood his head. TCH. Dobe, you'll never be a good ninja. Stupid Naruto. Leave me alone, you worthless excuse for a ninja. Monster. Demon. Freak. The seal on his stomach began to crack. Kyuubi raised an eyebrow from within his cage. What is this? Kyuubi felt the cage shaking and soon he vanished completely from the cage. Naruto roared as lightning began hitting the ground around him. The zombies looked around in horror as the boy grew stronger. His eyes turned blood red, his hair grew long enough till it reached his rear. His fingernails grew into claws and his teeth turned into fangs. With a savage roar, he tore into the zombie crowd. It was a massacre as Naruto showed no mercy to the weak monsters. He slashed a zombie's head off and kicked it at one of his allies. He vanished in a blur and soon all one could hear was the zombies screaming in pain. Mei watched from a distance with amusement dancing in her eyes. Yes, Naru-kun, let out all your anger and rage. Show these worthless demons what you truly are. Soon there was no zombies left as Naruto tried to catch his breath. He felt something being pulled out of him and he growled. In his hand appeared a blood-red chain-like tassel. At the end of the tassel was an image of the Kyuubi. Naruto's eyes became droopy before he fell flat on his face. Mei got up from her spot and went to pick up the unconscious demon. She called out to the dimensional gatekeeper and soon they both vanished. Mental realm. Naruto woke up in a strange realm. The air was misty and he was lying on nothing. He stood up and groaned. What hit me? I wish it was me that hit you. Came a deep voice. Naruto turned to the source of the voice and paled. There he was, the Kyuubi sitting in all his demonic glory. Relax, brat. If I could I would have done so already. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I have a seal on around my neck. I can't do a thing to you. Naruto spotted the fox's collar. I see. At any rate, when you finally blew a circuit, you did something to the seal. I'm out of the seal yet my power is still locked away somewhere. In the seal is your power and quite frankly it's growing as we speak. Naruto sat down in a Indian style and sighed. So now what? I'm now a vassal for a spoiled brat. TCH, big improvement from being that big-head old woman's lapdog. TCH, whatever fuzzy, so what's the plan? I think you should wake up first. That should be the number one thing to do. Overlord Rosalin's castle. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in a fluffy bed. He yawned and stood up. He looked at the room he was in and whistled. A lavish king-sized bed, mirror and dresser, TV hell it even had its own mini fridge. Sweet. Naruto heard the Kyuubi calling him and turned to the source of the voice. That odd tassel was vibrating madly. Naruto picked up the tassel and put it in his pocket. Finally, brat, anyways, I suggest you look in the mirror so you can see what you truly look like. Naruto turned to the mirror and gasped. He was taller than before. His hair was longer, his ears were pointed somewhat like a cross between an elf's and fox's ears but they were fuzzy like a fox's. His eyes were slightly slitted like a fox's and his whisker marks were slightly more defined. 3 long golden tails swished behind him. I wonder why your eyes didn't stay red. Asked Kyuubi. What the hell did you do to me? Nothing, brat. Apparently that bastard put another seal on you when you were an infant. I knew it was him. Who is him? Your father, that bastard Overlord. My dad was a demon overlord. Sadly, yes. He escaped his Makai to the human world to live a life of peace. He reincarnated himself and was born again with a different memory and life. I do recall an angel assassin sent after him who eventually fell in love with him. Sooner or later you popped into the picture. As for the rest of the story, well, my memory is sort of hazy due to that bastard Yondaime Hokage sealing me inside of you. Grumbled Kyuubi. Naruto sighed when he wasn't going to get any answers out of the fox. He reached into his back pocket and pulled out a scroll. Thanks, Ero Sennin. He unfurled the scroll and to his surprise, 8 scrolls rolled out. He picked up the one marked Kaiten and unfurled it. He began reading the first technique on the scroll and smiled. Kaiten, Enden. Sounds fun. He memorized the technique easily and began blowing out small fires. He heard the door open and another beautiful girl entered his room. Her skin was a dark color, almost like a rich chocolate. Her emerald eyes leered at Naruto with a perverted gleam not really well hidden in her eyes. She licked her lips and Naruto found himself entranced by her white lipstick. Her white hair was long as it reached her shoulders. Her outfit was damn near scandalous. She wore a black and red armor that covered some of her ass and it stopped above her belly button. She wore a pair of skin-tight black shorts and some boots. Damn, I was hoping to catch you while you were sleeping, said the woman while pouting. Naruto turned pale and took a step back. Relax, kid, I was joking. I wasn't going to molest you while you were sleeping. Come on, the princess is waiting for us. By the way, the name is Serenity, and you? Naruto. Naruto stood up and walked out the door. Oh boy, he seems a bit grumpy. Rosalin's room. Naruto and the sexy demoness Serenity walked towards the princess room and stopped when they heard screaming. What do you mean? Shouted Rozalin. Serenity ducked as a penguin flew overhead and blew up. What the hell was that? Shouted Naruto. That would be a prinny. The air human souls who sinned a bit too much so they get stuck in a prinny costume and they have to work off all of their sins. They are allowed to leave once the red moon comes out. Naruto nodded. Great, big-air demons, exploding penguins. Next thing you know, I'm fighting my parents in heaven. I wouldn't jinx yourself if I were you, kid. Before Naruto could retort, Rozalin came out of her room red with anger. Naruto grabbed her with one of his tails. Whoa, princess, what's going on? None of your business, retorted Rozalin before sticking her nose in the air. Wrong answer. I am your vassal, so I should know what's troubling my boss, said Naruto. Rozalin sighed before answering him. Apparently a good majority of my vassals and servants have abandoned the castle, said Rozalin. Why? My father was supposedly defeated in battle and now everyone is after his throne. Interesting, so now what? That's my throne. I will whoever gets in my way. Now Naruto, as captain of my warriors, I command you to go create some vassals. Naruto let her go and walked forward before stopping completely. How do I do that? Said Naruto with a sweet drop going down his head. Serenity smiled. Don't worry, I'll show you. Dark Assembly. Naruto stared at the demon girl named Rita in front of him and sighed. Tell me again, why I have to do this. The demoness at the desk was a cute one. She had short pink hair, blue eyes and purple stripes on her cheeks. 3 purple dots adorned her forehead in a triangle formation. If you don't, the princess will blow a gasket and shoot you, said the girl cutely. Naruto's face turned red and he scowled. Naruto read over the tome that had all the information about the Dark Assembly. Fine, I know what I want. Let's do this. Rosalin's room. Mei whistled as she stared at the 7 warriors assembled, 6 if you didn't include Naruto. TCH, ran out of mana before I could pick some of the demon beasts, said Naruto with a pout. Mei looked over the group and smiled. A male warrior, lady warrior, a red mage, a cleric, a green skull kid, and a female monk. For a newcomer, that's pretty damn impressive, Naruto. So we're now vassals for an overlord. This should be fun, said the male warrior named Kraus. He wore a red bandana on his forehead and a pair of green pants. He had arm guards and short brown hair. TCH, life is one big game to you, isn't it? Said Setsuna the lady warrior. Setsuna had green hair and a weird two-piece armor. Apparently she didn't mind armor covering her girls. Probably cause she doesn't have any. Thought Naruto. She is pretty cute though. Our boss is so cute. Squealed Tomi, the red mage as she ogled Naruto. She had long red hair, ruby eyes, and she wore a red and white dress. She had a white bow in her hair. She seemed to be the youngest, ranging around 9 in human years. How is it that I got stuck with a boy crazy sister? Whined Kajimir. He wore a green skull-like robe and he seemed to be the same age as Tomi. He had brown eyes rather than red and he had white hair. Children, behave, said Caressa the cleric in a gentle voice. She wore a skin-tight black dress that hid her feet. Her eyes were closed and she had long blonde hair. Let them beat the crap out of each other, it would be entertaining at the very least, said Karai. She wore a yellow battle robe and a pair of blue pants. Her pink hair was tied in 2 pigtails that stood up. Naruto sighed. Sorry, this was the best I could do. He got punched in the back of the head thanks to Karai. What do you mean by that, you bastard fox? Naruto rubbed his head and sighed. Rozalin came into the room and smiled. Good job. Didn't think a mere human turned demon could do something like this on his first try. That's what you get for underestimating me, said Naruto with a foxy grin on his face. True, now head to the shop and buy some weapons and armor. I can't get anything for free, so you have to buy your stuff, said the princess. Naruto nodded before walking downstairs. Shopping district. How the hell does a castle have its own shopping district? Asked Kajimir. He looked into the weapons store and went in with the rest of his crew. Naruto stood outside with Rozalin. She stared at him before growing impatient. What? Go get a weapon, you brainless oaf. The only weapons I ever used were shuriken, kunai, and maybe some explosive tags. I never used a weapon like a sword before, whined Naruto. Rozalin huffed before dragging him into the shop. Henry, shouted Rozalin. I got a new one. Could you scan him and tell him what weapon he should be wielding? A druid came out from behind his desk and sighed. His eyes glowed blue before he gasped. What the hell are you, boy? Asked Henry. Naruto just tilted his head. Well, he has an S-rank affinity for swords, everything else is a mystery. I can't sense the ranks of his other weapons. Good enough, let's get you a sword and some new garbs, that orange is making my eyes bleed, said Rozalin. Pushy bitch, grumbled Naruto. Rosalin's eye twitched as she pulled out her gun. She pointed at Naruto and pulled the trigger. She shot Naruto in his forehead and she gasped. Not many demons could survive a blast from a noble rose point blank. Hell, most demon lords would die from that. I didn't mean to him. Naruto teetered back before grabbing his forehead in pain. What the hell was that for, you crazy bitch? That hurt, said Naruto with tears streaming down his face. Rozalin watched in shock as the bullet wound completely healed in the span of 2 seconds. She growled and grabbed him by his arm. Henry watched in amusement as Naruto was pistol whipped by his master. "Don't you ever call me a bitch, you bastard," said Rozalin. She clobbered Naruto's head. Naruto stopped her from beating his head in. "I'm sorry," whimpered Naruto. She scowled and walked away. Naruto sighed before looking for a sword. Kraus was grinning like a kid in a candy store as he examined a broadsword. Setsuna smiled evilly as she picked up a spear and poked her male counterpart in the rear. Kraus jumped up and scowled at the giggling warrior. The mage twins both found staffs that amplified their magical powers. Carrera picked up a staff and strapped it to her back. She then picked up a bow and smiled. "This will do." Karai experimented with her gloves and smiled. "This is going to be great." Naruto heard Kyuubi calling him and he sighed. "Yes, Fuzzy. Don't call me that. Kid, attach the tassel to a sword." Naruto just shrugged his shoulders. He picked up a katana and attached the tassel to the hilt of the blade. The katana turned blood red. The fox was now in a realm with swords protruding from the ground. "I figured as much. What the hell happened? Send me some of my chakra." "Why? Do it, you brainless ape. Fine, you butt-licking cheap fur carpet." Kyuubi was taken back by that last insult. That was uncalled for. Naruto sent some of the fox's chakra into the odd tassel and watched as the red chakra took the form of the fox's head. "It seems you have total control of my chakra as well. Too bad you can't use it," said Kyuubi with a grin. "Really? But you can't access it without me giving it to you," said Naruto. Kyuubi scowled before sighing. "All right, Fox, let's make a deal. Like it or not, you're stuck with me." Kyuubi nodded. "But without me giving you chakra, you're about as strong and useful as Sakura." Kyuubi flinched. "Okay, dude, that was harsh and seriously messed up. I'm sorry." "Damn it, kid, demons have feelings too." Both entities looked at each other before laughing out loud. "Good one, that Sakura one would make anyone cry. Depending on how much chakra you give me, I can manifest a limb or something. With enough chakra, I can manifest a body." Naruto smirked. "Maybe we should try that back in Konoha." The fox howled with laughter. "That is a great idea. I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship between fox demons. Say, should we test the limb thing?" Naruto smirked evilly. Kyuubi mirrored his smirk. Naruto channeled more chakra into the sword. Kyuubi manifested one of his arms and the arm stretched forward and flew towards Karai. He pinched her rear end and she looked around shocked. Naruto and Kyuubi had to stifle their laughter to avoid a beatdown. "I think my life just got a whole lot better," said Naruto. He soon felt cold and he turned around to be face to face with Rozalin. "Oh, I saw that. Let's go, you lecherous little ninja. We need to get you some new clothes." Rozalin grabbed him by his arm. She dragged him away to a separate part of the shop. Near the dimensional gate, the vassals sat by themselves and soon Rozalin came out with a grin on her face. "I think I made a great breakthrough with him." Naruto stepped out and sighed. "I feel out of my natural way of doing things." He wore a pair of baggy black pants. He had red bandages wrapped around his chest and arms. He wore a sleeveless orange battle kimono with black lining. Around his waist was a jet black sash that held his katana. Think of how time skip Sasuke carries his kusanagi. Around his neck was a black battle scarf. He wore 2 necklaces. One was the one he won from the Hokage and the other was a yin-yang pendant. He wore black steel-toed combat boots. "Looking cool, boss," said Kraus with a grin on his face. The girls either ogled him or stared at him with stars in their eyes. Now, let's get down to business. We need to start taking down the competition for my title, said Rozalin as she took out a list. Naruto's jaw hit the floor. Holy crap. How many are there? Shouted Naruto. Rozalin put a finger to her cheek and thought about. Who knows, this is one big netherworld. That's not even including the other netherworlds. Naruto's eyes were reduced to half lids as he sighed. I just started this gig and I can't wait for my vacation. Alphina's mansion. Rozalin and her vassals stood in front of a large mansion. In front of the gates of the pink mansion was two large demons wearing black armor. Heavy knights. High defense, great with spears, said Carrera. Rozalin turned to her and smiled. At least one of my vassals can think. The others just glared at the back of her head. Wait a minute. If I was the one who used up a crap load of mana to have them summoned, how is it that they're your vassals? I figured they were mine, asked Naruto. Naruto's vassals are my vassals because you are my vassal. You are their commander and I am the general. Naruto nodded but then scowled. As long as your orders don't involve treason, I won't supersede them, Naruto. This is great and all, but how do we take those goons out? Whispered Kraus. Naruto vanished completely and two audible cracking noises were heard. The group turned to see Naruto standing behind the two demon guards who apparently had their necks snapped. Tomi stared at him with stars in her eyes. Shugoi. Let's go, shouted Naruto. Alphina's mansion interior. The vassals walked through the hallways and stopped at a large door guarded by more heavy knights. Naruto was about to attack when Rozalin walked past him. I am Overlord Rozalin. I wish to battle Demon Lord Alphina, said Rozalin in a haughty manner. The guards looked at each other before busting out laughing. Rozalin turned red with anger as she reached for her gun. She pointed at the one on the right and let loose. A bullet whizzed by his ear and he scowled. All right, little girl, is that how you want to play? Said the heavy knight. He ran forward and reared his spear back. Rosalin's eyes went wide. Naruto used Shunshin again and grabbed Rozalin. He tossed her to the side and he was stabbed by the spear. He grinned as he replaced himself with a log. What the hell? He looked up to see Naruto on the ceiling. Team. Wind. Kaiten, Enden. He exhaled a large stream of fire and launched a gale of wind from his hand. The wind and fire techniques combined to form a burning gale. The heavy knight let out a sigh before the blast hit him. That was so awesome, shouted Tomi. The other knight growled before running towards the girl mage. Armor break, shouted the mage. The knight felt a little on the wimpy side. That was enough for Karai to come in. She positioned herself and grinned. Triple strike. She reared her fists back and let loose. She punched him the face, following with an uppercut, and finally she used a somersault kick, launching him into the air and backwards. Kraus ran forward, dragging his broadsword along the ground. Blade rush. He ran quicker and then cut the knight along his side, cutting through his armor like butter. The knight fell like a rock and he smirked. Too easy. Kraus was then punched in the face by the remaining knight. I'll all of you for what you did to my brother. Naruto gathered wind mana into his sword and readied himself. Setsuna. Keep him in one spot. Tomi. Kajimir. Hit him with wind and fire. Both of the mages nodded. Carrera. Shoot him on my mark. She readied her bow. Setsuna ran forward and began jabbing at the knight, causing cracks to appear in his armor. She jumped back just as the siblings let loose a burning gale combo like the one Naruto used previously. Now Carrera! Shouted Naruto. He swung his sword downward, releasing an arc of wind. The wind blade cut the night and soon an arrow followed. The arrow pierced the knight and he too fell to the ground. We did it! Shouted Tomi. Kajimir just smirked. Too easy, Kraus. Kraus jumped up and whacked the kid mage in the head. Little punk, keep mocking me, growled Kraus. They stopped when Naruto marched up to Rozalin. You can't fight, said Naruto while glaring at the girl. She lowered her head and bit the bottom of her lip. Shit, as soon as this is over, we're going to start training. You're an overlord, not a hindrance. Rozalin bit back a retort and nodded. The motley crew of vassals were soon on their way again. Alphina's room. Kraus and Naruto walked to a large door and at the same time, kicked the door in. Inside the room was a canopy-style bed and lots of, "What is with all this purple and blue furniture?" asked Kraus. The group felt a dark surge of energy and following the surge was an obnoxious laugh. In the middle of the room appeared a demoness. She had blue skin and she wore purple leotard that looked so tight, Naruto thought it was painted on. She wore purple boots, chest armor, and gauntlets. She had long dark blue hair, golden eyes with black iris and two curled horns on her head. She had a voluptuous figure and as the boys would say, a huge rack. Who dares invade my home? Asked the demon. She smirked when she saw the male vassals gawking at her figure. Her rack is gigantic, muttered Kajimir. All Naruto and Kraus did was nod in response. I swear, everywhere I turn, as big as melons, muttered Naruto to his male comrades. I dare, for I am Overlord Rozalin, daughter of Zenon. Came the princess reply. Naruto slapped his forehead. Alphina looked at her before laughing. That's rich, Zenon's daughter you say. Well then, I guess I should just you so I can have your throne, said Alphina as she got into a fighting stance. Naruto walked in front of Rozalin. I will handle this. Rozalin scowled. She whipped out her gun and started firing at Alphina. The older demoness dodged the bullets easily before rushing forward. Purple lightning cackled in her hand and she plunged her hand into Rosalin's chest or what she thought was her chest. She pulled back only to see a log with a hole in it. Rest for now. I'll finish this, said Naruto. He put his hand on the hilt of his sword and unsheathed it. He pointed it at Alphina. Do it, QB. The vassals looked at Naruto oddly before a large red claw lunged at her. Alphina rolled to the side just before the giant claw hit her. She threw a bolt of lightning at Naruto and growled when he dodged it. He ran forward and began fading out of vision. What is this? This strength, speed, stamina, everything has increased, thought Naruto. He roared out and with lightning speed, he unsheathed his sword releasing an arc of energy. Alphina's eyes went wide before she rolled away to dodge the attack. Is that the best you? She couldn't even finish her response as Karai kicked her dead in her face. Kajimir. Tomi. Twin burning gale, roared Naruto. The mages nodded and raised their staves. Fire. Wind. Kaiten. Enden. Wind. Alphina looked up to see two different burning gales coming at her. She spotted an opening and jumped through it only to be shot down by Rozalin. Take that, you scantily clad hooker, shouted the princess. Alphina growled before rushing towards Rozalin again. Plasma ball. Alphina threw a purple orb at Rozalin and hit her. The ball knocked Rozalin into the wall, knocking her out. Naruto cursed violently. Carrera, watch Sleeping Beauty. Kraus, Setsuna, Karai, on my mark use your strongest move. Kajimir, Tomi, Burning Gale on my cue. Naruto pointed his sword at Alphina and a claw flew at her again. She jumped into the air to avoid the attack and she cursed. The demon lord didn't realize she was tricked until it was too late. Now! Shouted Naruto. Kraus ran forward dragging his sword along the ground. Setsuna jumped off his shoulder and threw her spear at Alphina. The spear hit her in the leg and a jolt of electricity surged into her. As she fell, Kraus hit her with a blade rush. As soon as he was done, Karai rushed in and hit her with a triple strike. Alphina flew into the air only to get hit by another burning gale combo. Naruto jumped into the air with one of his clone following him. He held out his hand and soon the clone began generating and rotating chakra. Once it was done, Naruto lunged forward. Rasengan! Shouted Naruto. He hit the demon lord in her chest armor, totally obliterating it and ripping her outfit. The attack threw her through a wall and he landed gracefully. He spun his sword in his hand before sheathing it. Alphina emerged from the wall breathing heavily. Naruto felt blood drip out his nose as he stared at her bare ass that seemed to jiggle with every step she took. Not bad at all. What is your name, Foxy? Naruto. Excellent. A cute demon that can fight that well is hard to find. I will make you my vassal. Alphina began laughing again before vanishing in a cloud of darkness. Naruto sighed as he pinched his nose. He was surprised when Kraus slung his arm over his shoulder. Nice job, Naruto, said Kraus. I know you just became a demon, but that was awesome. Yeah, that was great battle and leadership skills, said Setsuna. Thanks. In all honesty, that was my first time leading a team like that. I just listened to my instincts and bam, we were kicking Demon Hooker, said Naruto with a grin on his face. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see Rozalin smiling at him. That was impressive, Naruto. I honestly didn't think you could fight like that. Thanks, but I haven't forgotten the fact that you can't fight that well. Rozalin bit her lip and looked down. Not a problem, we could always fix that. As long as you're okay, that's what matters to me. Rozalin felt her face heat up at Naruto's remark. As a vassal, it's my job to protect you. I don't want to see you get hurt. Anyways, let's head back. I'm starving. On cue, his stomach growled. Tomi giggled at his embarrassed face. His squad began to walk out of room and back towards the dimensional gate. Rozalin stood behind, her mind racing. What is this strange feeling? I feel as if I have butterflies in my stomach. And why does my face heat up around him? Hey Rosie-chan, let's go, came Naruto's voice. She looked at his smiling face and blushed again. Hold your horses. Leaving without your queen, said Rozalin. She caught up to Naruto and soon, they were on their way home. Unfortunately for Naruto, he wasn't paying attention as he collided with a demoness. A red-haired succubus to be precise. Naruto shook the stars from his eyes and helped the demoness up. Sorry about that, wasn't really paying attention, said Naruto. He observed the succubus and gulped slightly. She was as hot as May. She had emerald eyes, red hair and an odd outfit. She had a white blouse and a purple skirt or a mini-skirt from Naruto's point of view. She wore a green tie around her neck. She had a long tail like May's and horns too. Her red hair was long and some of it was tied in a ponytail. She had sandals on and she stared at Naruto with amusement in her eyes. So you're the princess' new pet. Cute too, said the demoness. Naruto's face heated up before he laughed nervously. Name please. Naruto. Nice to meet you. I'm Mercedes. I am the dimensional gatekeeper. I am the one that warps you anywhere you want to go. All you do is ask me and you're good to go. Neat, thanks. Do you know where the showers are? Asked Naruto. Mercedes grinned before grabbing his arm. She dragged down a bunch of hallways and soon he was inside a gigantic room. He looked at the marble floor and pillars and whistled. Well, the princess certainly knows how to live. Naruto felt heat coming from the room and deduced there was a large bathtub here. The shower stall is to the right of the room. Seeing as you are a vassal of great importance to the princess, this shower room is for you. Cool, but what about the rest of the soldiers? Don't worry, they have the same thing except larger than this. They just have to share. I'm pretty sure the shower room could accommodate up to 40 male vassals at a time. Naruto's mouth was in an O shape and he smiled. He took off his crimson and black pajamas and was about to strip into his birthday suit when he heard something akin to a cat call. Naruto turned around to see Mercedes with a shit-eating smirk on her face. Nice, Naruto. Damn pervert. Naruto threw off his boxers and threw himself into his bathtub. When his head emerged, only his eyes were visible. Mercedes grinned as the blush on her face didn't leave. With tool that large, you're going to make one woman very happy, said Mercedes. She walked away giggling evilly about cute blonde foxes. When Naruto was sure she was out of molesting distance, he sighed. QB, give or take, how long do you think it would take for me to get molested by one of those damn demon girls? Knowing how incredibly crappy your luck can be at times, maybe around 4 days. Naruto began sobbing uncontrollably as he resigned to his fate. After a nice long bath and making sure he wasn't going to be a tasty morsel for a hungry succubus, he escaped from his own bathroom. This is wrong on so many levels. I have to act like an Anbu just to get out the shower, muttered Naruto to himself. He made it to his room and got dressed in his garbs. He went to the dimensional gatekeeper and scowled. Hey little one, or shall I say big one, said Mercedes. Enough of the jokes, alright. Can you send me somewhere I can train and get my mana count up? Sure, I know the perfect place for you. Go to the gate and you'll be off. Naruto walked into the light and soon he was in a desert-like area. He placed his hand on his katana and braced himself for whatever demon might pop up. He wasn't disappointed when a zombie showed up. Great. Zombies. Soon more popped up and Naruto was surrounded. Then some ghosts decided to show up as well. He smirked and unsheathed his sword before driving it into the ground. He made his favorite seal and grinned. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With a shout he created over twice as many clones as there were zombies. He pulled his sword out the ground and pointed it upward. Let's kick some. The clones cheered before rushing into combat. 2 hours later, Naruto smirked as he kicked the head of a zombie. Well, that was fun. He ducked a claw swipe and scowled as he missed one. This was a ghoul-class undead. He grinned and unsheathed his sword. Let's rock. Naruto ran forward and pulsed out sight. The undead groaned to himself and then found himself being cut into millions of pieces. Naruto stopped and sheathed his sword. The ghoul fell to pieces while Naruto smirked at it. Too easy. Hey Mercedes. Warp me back. Soon a white light overtook him and he was back at the castle. Had fun zombie slaughtering? Asked the gatekeeper with an amused grin on her face. Naruto nodded like a kid in a candy store and walked off to get some breakfast. Naruto felt like he scored a reasonable amount of mana, so he was going to request some monsters. He went to see Rita and smiled at the sleeping girl. He poked her forehead and she woke up. She yawned cutely and stared at Naruto. Hi Naruto Nisama, chirped the little demon. Good morning, Rita. I want to request a monster from the Dark Assembly. She nodded and he filled out his summoning form. He paid the amount of mana needed and summoned a ghost and a private prinny. The ghost looked around confused before staring at Naruto. Names. Spectre, said the ghost. Orobus, said the prinny. Neat, Naruto, your new commanding officer, welcome to Rosalin's castle. Make yourself at home, somewhere. The two monsters looked at each other before shrugging their shoulders and wandering off somewhere. Naruto walked back to his room and picked up one of his scrolls. Senin techniques. He unfurled the scroll and two more scrolls came out. He picked up the one labeled one and unfurled it. A puff of smoke erupted from the scroll and Jiraiya was sitting on the floor with a smirk on his face. Ero Senin, shouted Naruto. The toad sage stood up and smirked. Looking good, brat. What the hell are you doing here? Simple, I'm going to be your watcher. I'm going to be warping back and forth between Konoha. While I'm here, I figure I could teach you a thing or two. Naruto sighed before getting into a stance. He put his left arm behind his back and put his right hand on his katana hilt. Jiraiya smirked and pulled out a large Zanbatsu made from stone out of a scroll. Naruto's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Holy shit. Jiraiya was about to strike when he scowled. Damn it, what does Tsunade want from me? Fine brat, summon me in an open field 2 days from today. I'll train you then. He grumbled a bit before vanishing in a puff of smoke. Naruto sighed a bit before his stomach decided to growl. He wandered around the castle, looking for a kitchen. He stumbled into Rosalin's room. He opened the door slowly and stared at the sleeping beauty. She is actually pretty cute when she isn't shooting me. Naruto felt the warning sirens in his head go off and he leapt onto the ceiling as soon as Rozalin pulled out her gun and fired. Hey princess. Rozalin looked around till she saw Naruto on the ceiling. He released his chakra and fell gracefully. Rozalin pulled up her covers and frowned at Naruto. You little lecher, what were you going to do to me while I was sleeping? Wake you up, said Naruto a little confused. Rozalin sighed and stepped out of her bed and Naruto's jaw hit the floor. She stared at Naruto with a confused expression on her face. Her hair was down and she was wearing a light pink nightgown that stopped in the middle of her thigh. Naruto stared at her shapely creamy legs and gulped audibly. The nightgown did nothing to hide her curves. She watched in slight amusement as Naruto's face turned a darker shade of red with each passing second. What's the matter, pet? Does seeing your master like this affect you? Said Rozalin with a smirk on her face. Naruto was about to retort when she struck a pose. That was it, blood gushed out of Naruto's nose as he flew through a wall. Rozalin smirked evilly. That's what you get for being a pervert, said Rozalin as she walked towards her personal bathroom. Naruto awoke an hour later to a Rozalin prodding his side with her shoe. Oi, wake up perverted fox. I have a name you know. Still, perverted fox suits you. Bah. I just wanted to know where the kitchen was. Grumbled Naruto. Rozalin just smiled at him. Come with me then. Naruto jumped up and followed his master to the dining area. Dining area. Naruto's jaw nearly hit the floor. It was giant ballroom. Chandeliers were hung from the ceiling, polished floors, royal oak tables, lavish flowers and the works. Damn, do you know how to live? Said Naruto. Rozalin grabbed his arm and dragged him to the kitchen area. Naruto's nose was hit with many different aromas and he grinned. Food. He walked forward and grabbed a plate. He picked up different kinds of foods that smelled good to him. He grabbed omelets, truffles, veal chops and some pancakes. What the hell kind of breakfast is that? Asked QB. Stuff it, Fox. I'm hungry as it is. QB just shrugged and resumed napping. He sat down at a table and sighed. He began eating his food when he saw Rozalin giggling at him. He had a piece of omelette on his cheek. What? You act as if you never eaten before in your life. Bah, it's not my fault. The only thing I could get cheap in the human realm was ramen. Stuff was good, but it stunted my growth. It must have been hard. TCH, it was hell, but ever since I came here, things have been looking up. Naruto finished his plate and Rozalin just gaped at him. How did you finish so quickly? When your life is constantly in danger, you pick up skills here and there, said Naruto as he got up. If you need me, princess, I'll be in the courtyard training. Rozalin nodded before looking at the empty dining room. When she was younger, she didn't mind being here by herself. With Naruto and his motley crew of soldiers around the castle, sitting in this place alone just seemed colder. Naruto. He stopped and turned to her. Could you sit with me? She cursed herself for sounding so weak in front of her vassal. How the hell was she going to be an accomplished overlord if she couldn't even eat by herself? Naruto smiled. Sure, princess. He pulled up a seat next to her and put his head on the table. She quietly ate to herself and stopped when she heard soft snoring. She turned to see Naruto sleeping peacefully on the table. She stared at his fox ears and resisted the urge to pet and scratch them. Curiosity got the better of her and she began scratching his ears. To her immense surprise and enjoyment, his tails began thumping against the floor. She finished eating her food and resumed scratching Naruto's ears. His tails began beating a rhythmic sound on the floor. Naruto began to wake and she stopped instantly. What happened? All I remember was feeling really relaxed, said Naruto as he wiped a bit of drool off the corner of his mouth. Rozalin giggled at his expression. Why'd I act this way around him? This isn't how I was raised. Yet he has such an effect on me. Oi Rosie-chan, I heard Kraus talking about a neat spot to train called the Item World. The Item World is very dangerous, Naruto. Without the proper item, escape is impossible. That got Naruto's attention. The Item World is a place where you can power up weapons, armor, items and to train. Due to the fact that Item World gets harder the further down you progress, the enemies get tougher, said Rozalin. Naruto nodded before grinning. He took Rozalin by her hand and picked her up bridal style. He vanished using his newfound speed and appeared in front of the Item World gatekeeper. To his surprise, it was Serenity. Hey Naru, good morning princess, said Serenity. Hey Serenity, could you send me to the Item World? Sure, but it's kind of dangerous, Naruto. Here. She handed him a red box. That would be a Mr. Gensei exit. Open it and you will appear outside the Item World or inside the castle, for lack of better words. Seeing as it's your first time going, I recommend using a weaker item before throwing yourself into tougher items. Naruto nodded and took out a pair of slapback gloves he got from beating the crap out of a zombie. He handed the gloves to Serenity and she placed them in an odd diamond. The gate to the Item World opened. Naruto had an eager grin on his face. He turned to Rozalin and smiled. You're going to join me? Of course. I cannot allow my vassal to grow stronger than me. Why? That is a rule set in stone. Vassals are not allowed to be stronger than their overlords, said Rozalin as she walked into the Item World. Naruto sighed and turned to Serenity. Don't worry Naru, she is just putting on a show. If anything, she is a bit insecure about her power. Make sure she doesn't get hurt too bad, okay? You can count on me. Naruto ran into the item world. The gate shut and she grinned evilly. Have fun. Item world. Naruto landed next to Rozalin and whistled. The landscape was weird. There were glowing panels on the floor, strange shaped objects lying around and demons everywhere. What are those things? Said Naruto, pointing at a geocube. That, my dear pet, would be a geocube. Geocubes have strange effects on certain plots of land. For example, if you stand on a red plot, and the geocube heals whoever stands on it, you would heal. Rozalin then explained to him the fun part of blowing up geocubes. Naruto grinned savagely and got into Kenjutsu stance. He put his left arm behind his back and put his hand on his sword. He vanished using Shunshin and began hacking away at the enemies. Rozalin watched from a distance and sighed. Battle happy maniac. 5 floors down, Naruto and Rozalin actually had to work together. Lies. It was more Naruto protecting the princess from being swapped by demon moths. He grinned as Rozalin shot 4 different moths in the face. He jumped in the air and cut a moth in 2. Still in stride, he swung back with his leg, kicking the snot out of a male monk who tried to sneak up on him. Naruto did a high spin kick, catching a female warrior off guard, and he gave her a nice gash to take home to mother. He heard Rozalin screaming at someone and he turned to see Rozalin being harassed by a male warrior, 2 heavy knights and orc. Naruto kicked him in the side of the head and the group of perverts assembled. You okay, Rosie-chan? Those uncouth, perverted, low-life scum. How dare they put their hands on me like that? Naruto took a step back when her eyes started to glow red. A pink aura of power surrounded her and she pulled out a Gatling gun. Rose thorns. Rozalin let her gun go crazy as she fired multiple rounds of bullets. Holy shit! Shouted Naruto as he took cover behind an elevated piece of land. After a good minute of non-stop firing, Naruto deemed it safe to look over the ledge and he gaped at the mass destruction caused by the irate princess. The poor group of perverts were reduced to piles of smoking bodies with X-shaped eyes. Naruto's eyes turned into little white dots as he examined the bodies. If they survived that, then they are not getting up for a while. Said Naruto as he poked a body. Rozalin marched past him and he followed slowly. Another 5 floors down, they came across an item general. Hey Rosie-chan, handle the goon squad for me while I take care of the general. She gave Naruto a look that said, boy, are you retarded? Naruto sighed and created 30 cage bunchins. Make sure she doesn't get hurt. The clones nodded while Naruto jumped up to battle the item general. Imagine his disappointment when the item general turned out to be a Mothman. Naruto scowled as he ran forward. Soon he began to circle around the Mothman with more and more speed. Soon a whirlwind knocked the moth into the air and Naruto followed suit. Hurricane. Naruto cut through him and as the moth landed, he cut it again. Slash. He watched as the moth fell to pieces and he heard something akin to Rozalin shouting. Take this. Try burst. She let off 3 rounds into a thief's face and grinned triumphantly. I think I'm beginning to get the hang of this battle thing. Naruto smiled as a gate opened and he and his princess walked through Rosalin's castle. Naruto grinned at his newer gloves. Iron nails, huh? He put the gloves on and he smirked. To his surprise, the gloves turned into a ball of light and merged with his crystal necklace. Okay, what just happened, QB? I have no idea, kid. Where did my gloves go? As soon as he thought about his iron nails, they materialized around his hand. Whoa, Cool. He thought about them vanishing and they did just that. I think there is more to Bar-chan's necklace than she told me. Rozalin began to teeter and she fell into Naruto's grasp. You okay, Rosie-chan? Yes, I am, just tired. You weren't hurt, were you? Of course not. I am Rozalin, daughter of Zenon. Weaklings like that can't hurt me. Naruto smirked. Good, 'cause I was hoping we could go back. Her answer was a shot to his stomach. He grinned despite the pain. Guess not. He picked her up bridal style and carried her back to her bedroom. Rozalin was beginning to doze off in his grasp, but she woke up when she felt something was wrong. She looked up to see Naruto grinning fiendishly at her. What are you up to? 1, 2, 3. Naruto tossed Rozalin at her bed and he smirked when she screamed all the way to the bed. She hit the mattress without a hitch and she turned red with embarrassment and anger. Naruto was on the ground laughing and he stopped when he heard a trigger being pulled. Later, Rosie-chan, that's for calling me your pet. She shot him in the kneecap and rushed over to him and kicked him in the face. She felt relieved when she saw his body twitch, but she growled when he exploded in a puff of smoke. She sighed and went to the bathroom to take a nice long bath. Dinner time. The Vassals sat around the table eating and talking happily. Orobus and Spectre sat at a separate table, away from the humanoid demons. Naruto came from his room with his shirt unbuttoned and his hair wet. He walked into the kitchen and grabbed himself a plate of food. He grinned to himself and began ticking down when his assaulter would strike. 3, 2. Naruto jumped from his seat the second he heard a trigger. Oh, come on, Rosie-chan. Don't tell me you're still mad about me throwing you. She took aim. Try burst. She fired off 3 stronger rounds and Naruto just sighed before running through the castle. Naruto ran through corridor after corridor until he was finally cornered. He turned around slowly and let out an eep. If the look on Rosalin's face was anything to go by, he would say he was royally screwed. She turned her noble rose into a Gatling gun and took aim. Oh me sideways, muttered Naruto. This is so going to for you, kid. Remember, cover the jewels. Shouted Kyuubi. Naruto let out a girlish scream before Rozalin unleashed her rose thorns on him. 30 minutes later, Naruto returned to the dinner table with his clothes in rags. His wounds healed rather quickly for someone who just took a bullet storm and lived. He sat down and ate his food without a hitch. His vassals just stared at him. How the hell did you survive that? By the way, nice screams, very manly, said Kraus with a grin on his face. Naruto responded by flipping the bird. I don't know, it seems I heal really quickly. Stupid, psychotic overlord, said Naruto. He felt a something cold placed on the back of his head and he gulped when he heard her pull the trigger. She shot Naruto in the back of the head and watched as he held his head in pain. Stop doing that, you maniac. HMPH. The only thing good that comes from shooting you is the fact that my weapon mastery goes up. I shot you so many times today, I learned Gaia Blast and Tri-Burst. Said Rozalin. Naruto sat up and tried to eat his food again. So boss, where'd you vanish off to this morning? We were looking for you. Asked Setsuna. Oh, I took the royal pain in Theto item world to train with me. Naruto took another bullet to the back of the head. Keep it up, pet, you're only making it worse for you. Said Rozalin as she pointed at his head. Naruto scowled before leaping to his feet. He took away her noble rose and gave it to a cage bunshin. The clone ran off with it. Rozalin looked at Naruto with something akin to shock on her face. You bastard. That was a gift from my father. Return it immediately, shouted Rozalin. Consider this a training exercise. I advise you learn how to use a different weapon as well as your gun, cause if you get disarmed, you're going to have a hard time hurting someone. I can hurt you whenever I want, shouted the princess. True, but what about other enemies? And that's because you let her kick your, said QB. She scowled and stomped off to the armory to get another weapon. Naruto smirked at her retreating figure. Hey Naruto, do you think it's a good idea to keep pissing off Rozalin like that? Asked Karai with a bit of food still in her mouth. Why not? It's fun pushing her buttons. Besides, she needs to learn a little restraint. Naruto finished his meal and smirked at his troops. Be ready in 1 hour. We're heading to the item world. I'm going to find Rozalin and see if she is going to join us in bashing demons. Rosalin's room. Naruto poked his head in the room and ducked when an arrow flew overhead. She smirked at him and he just scowled. Nice shot, almost between my eyes, you maniac. I told you not to call me that, pet. Stop calling me your pet then. You are my pet, fox, now shut up, said Rozalin. Naruto sighed while rubbing his temples. He grinned fiendishly and summoned his iron nails. So Rozalin wants to play a. He got into a taijutsu stance. Rozalin drew her bow taut and launched an arrow at Naruto. He punched the arrow and smirked. He held his hand out to her. Come on. Rozalin growled and began firing arrows at him, which he either punched or dodged. He got up close and picked her up. She scowled before slapping him upside the head. So Rosie-chan, what did you learn today? That you're an annoying fox. No, you need a weapon that can help you should an opponent get close enough to you. A secondary weapon for you just in case you get disarmed, said Naruto in a serious tone. He put her down and smiled at her. He gave her back her noble rose. She pocketed her gun and stared at Naruto's smiling face. The gang is going back to the item world, you're going to join us. No thanks, you battle nut, I had enough of that place for one day. Come on, princess. This is a great way to get stronger, said Naruto. Fine, on one condition. What is it? You must call me master, said Rozalin with a grin on her face. Hell to the no, said Naruto in a deadpan voice. Fine, would it be better if I hauled your fat around? Rozalin turned red with anger. Are you calling me fat? Shouted Rozalin as she reached for her gun. Naruto just smirked. No. I chose my words carefully. Think about what I said. I didn't call you fat, I said you have a fat something. He chose to vanish now as Rozalin thought about what he said. He didn't call me fat yet, he said my fat. So what did he? She stopped and felt her rear end. I am going to skin that fox. She ran out her room and towards the item world. Item world. The vassals watched as Naruto told them to stand back and he put on a blindfold. 3, 2, 1. He felt a blade stab his chest and it came out his back. He coughed up some blood and pulled up his blindfold to see Rozalin seething with anger. You said I have a big butt. She pushed her spear in deeper. Naruto smirked despite the amount of pain he was in. He used his 3 tails to restrain Rozalin while he pulled the spear out of his chest. I see you took my advice. He held the spear in his hand and he grinned as Rozalin struggled to get out of his grip. Are you going to relax? Maybe. Naruto sighed and let her go. Alright, troop, beat the crap out of anything that so much as looks at you funny. If you see a treasure chest, go for it. Yes, sir, came the chorused reply. Naruto held his hand out to his mistress and smirked. Coming, your majesty. Rozalin scowled before taking his hand. Back at the castle, Kraus plopped down on the couch in the living area. Well, that was fun. Kajimir and Tomi fell asleep on the couch while Setsuna leaned against her spear. She had a new spear, a twin lance that she found in a legendary treasure chest. Karai smirked as she stared at her slap-back gloves. Carrera sat with her bow and staff and smiled to herself. She would be able to help her comrades more thanks to her training. She acquired the Mega Heal skill and Braveheart skill, not to mention Poison Blast. Alright squad, we did good tonight, let's call it a day, said Naruto. Rozalin was sleeping on his shoulder. The vassals nodded before walking off to their respective rooms. Naruto created 2 cage buncheons to pick up the kid mages and put them in their rooms. Naruto picked up Rozalin and carried her back to her room. He put her down in her bed but froze when she called his name. Naruto, I was wondering if you would, said Rozalin. Naruto couldn't hear the last part, so he knelt in closer. Could you stay with me tonight? I have a bad feeling and I don't want to be alone. Naruto blushed. Sure, let me get my pajamas and I'll be back. Naruto vanished in a puff of smoke and Rozalin left to change into her nightgown. She smiled to herself. She gets to torture Naruto with her nightgown and she has his protection. For some reason she could not shake off the feeling something weird was going to happen. She slipped into her nightgown and walked towards her bed. Naruto appeared in her room wearing black and red pajamas. The pants were black while the shirt was red. Funny because it matched the shade of red his face was. Rozalin slipped into her bed and Naruto sat on the edge. Good night, princess. Naruto, up here. Naruto turned to see her sitting in a very sexy pose. I want you close, Naruto, said Rozalin. Naruto gulped audibly. He crawled under the covers and sighed. Better, if you try anything funny, I will use rose thorns on your procreation tools. Naruto's eyes went wide and he nodded feverishly. Rozalin smirked and went to sleep. Outside Rosalin's castle, a figure wearing a black cloak jumped over the gate and ran into the castle. She smiled to herself. So far so good. I wonder why Master Marco instructed me to am Overlord. I mean, wouldn't Ivy-san be a better choice? Wondered the girl as she ran through the castle. She found the Overlord's room and calmed her nerves. Rosalin's room. Naruto could not believe how crappy his luck has been as of late. Rozalin nuzzled into his chest and her knee was grinding against his groin, making his soldier come to life. That damn piece of cloth she called a nightgown did nothing to keep her softer flesh from pressing onto his body. He nearly groaned when her ass pressed into his chest. She moved her head and she was now breathing on his neck. He heard QB laughing in the back of his head and he snarled at the fox. Shut up, fox. This is not funny. My kids are so going to take one for the team, sobbed Naruto. If anything, it just made QB laugh even harder. Naruto stiffened when he felt a foreign source of mana in the room. Odd, this mana feels holy. He poked Rozalin in her side and she opened her eyes. Before she could scream an insult at him and hurt him for being a pervert. We have company, whispered Naruto. Her red eyes went wide as she saw a silhouette in the shadows. She let go of Naruto and he vanished. After a minor scuffle, Naruto had the would-be assassin in his grasp. All right, what are you doing here? Said Naruto as he pulled off her hood. She was an angel. She had long auburn-colored hair, brown eyes and a cute face. I'm an assassin. Oops, wasn't supposed to tell you that, said the angel. Naruto's sweat dropped. Are you for real? What kind of assassin tells the person what the job is? An honest one. Oh boy. Naruto sighed and let go of the girl when he deemed her harmless. Naruto quickly chopped her in the back of the neck, knocking her out. Congratulations, Rosie-chan. You now have assassination attempts on your life, said Naruto as he picked up the unconscious angel. He sent Bunchins to wake up the Prinny squad. He carried her off to a random room. Rozalin sighed and went back to sleep. For some reason it was much harder to sleep without Naruto's warmth. Next morning, Naruto was showing the new vassal around the castle. Poor Marl, she was now the vassal of Overlord Rozalin due to the 4-leaf clover seal placed on her back. She wore a blue pair of shorts with a white blouse-like jacket. She had an orange bow tie around her neck. So Marl-chan, what skills do you have? Well, I am good with a bow and arrow, and I have some training with an axe. Why? Good, we can use your skills. Naruto and Marl headed towards the Dark Assembly. He saw a bill that caught his eye. Make a trainer. Sure, why not? Naruto passed the bill. For some reason, the Dark Assembly favored him, especially the Holy Dragon and Wood Golem party. He paid the respective amount of mana and summoned a beast tamer. His eyes went wide when he saw her. She had spiky, long, red hair with some yellow clips in it. Her skin was tanned and her crimson eyes held an air of confidence in them. She had a green shirt with yellow shoulder pads. She wore what appeared to be a bottom piece to a bathing suit covering her shame, and red leggings held up by black straps. A single red tail swished in the wind. Name please, said Naruto with his cheeks slightly red. Tamiko, said the beast tamer. She stared at the cute fox demon in front of her and pounced. So cute. She began petting his ears, causing him to go into the daze, as Kyubi calls it. The male monk, named Law, watched and sighed. Planning room. Naruto stood in front of the vassals and smiled. All right, team. This is Tamiko. She is the beast tamer of our little squad. I want you to show her the same respect you show me. Same thing goes for Law, our new monk. But what if we don't respect you? Said Karai in a joking manner. Then I'll kick your plain and simple. Rozalin walked into the room and scowled. We have a situation. What kind? Asked Kajimir. A money situation. Someone is trying to steal the funding from my father. Naruto ducked a slash from a male samurai and he growled. Tell me again why we decided to go to the item world for the noble rose. He cut the samurai in his arm before slitting his throat. Because Princess wanted to power up her gun. Shouted Setsuna as she blocked a strike from a zombie. She reared her spear back and impaled the zombie. Her eyes turned into little dots as the zombie kept coming forward. She sent a jolt of electricity through the spear and fried the zombie from the inside out. Kraus grinned as he ran around a kunoichi. Soon a whirlwind picked up and she was launched into the air. He jumped up and dashed through her. Before she hit the ground, Kraus cut her again. He brought his sword up just in time to block a heavy knight's spear aiming at his head. Enfeeble, shouted Kajimir. Mega fire, shouted Tomi. Orc felt his power being drained before becoming a roasted pig. Karai jumped in the air and landed on a female monk's face. She began stomping on her face and she jumped in the air. Take this. She drove both of her feet into her enemy's face and smirked when she hit the ground. Law gave the cliché battle cry and punched a warrior in the stomach. Soon his fist began to blur as he punched the demon faster and faster. Soon it looked like he had multiple arms and with a finishing touch, he hit the warrior in the chin with an uppercut, launching him over the horizon. Tamiko smirked before bringing her axe down on Aprini's head. She spotted a Cu Sith trying to bite her, but Carrera nailed it in the side with a poison blast, putting the dog down for the count. She brought her axe up and slammed it down on the poor demon dog's head. Rozalin jumped back and stabbed a Mothman with her spear. Naruto said she was getting stronger, if the pain from those bullets were anything to go by. A sinner with an axe charged her and almost cut her in two if not for Naruto pulling her out of the way. Kaiten, Enden. Mega wind. Naruto pointed at the sinner and nice-size green tornado formed around him. He exhaled a fireball and watched as the two attacks merged. He was shot in the back with a poison blast from an archer. She gave a little cheer before Mal nailed her right between the eyes with her holy bow. Naruto felt sick and he fell to his knees. Carrera rushed over to him and placed her hand on his forehead. Espoir. Naruto felt a nice warmth envelop him and he felt better. Thanks Carrera-chan, said Naruto before charging forward. He switched to his iron nails and kicked that blasted item general in the face. He reared his fist back and stared, beating his face in. The poor item general, which happened to be a gunner, had his face bashed in. Naruto reared his fist back. Rasengan. He drove his Rasengan in his chest and blew him through the ground. Unbeknownst to Naruto, the gun prism cannon merged with his necklace. The gate to the castle opened up and the group left. Overlord Rosalin's castle. Rozalin looked at her powered-up noble Rose and smiled. She shot Naruto in his leg and watched as he hit the ground. He popped in a puff of smoke and she was face to face with a smirking fox demon. Not bad, Rosie-chan, that would have hurt if you actually hit me. She huffed and walked to the hospital. She sat down and sighed when May healed her. May I ask you something? Said Rozalin. Sure thing, princess. I feel funny around Naruto. May stopped moving. For some reason, my face heats up, and I feel giddy. I have a faint idea what is going on, but could you verify? May bit her tongue to keep from outright giggling at the naivety her overlord possessed. I don't know what's wrong. Try hanging around him some more. By the way, I heard about you sharing a bed with him. He moves fast for a newbie, said May with a sinister grin on her face. What are you talking about? I ordered him to stay with me. There was an assassin in the castle last night, said Rozalin, trying to defend herself. May just smirked. It's true, shouted Rozalin, now red with embarrassment. After she was healed, she stomped out angrily. Living room. The team sat on random beanbag chairs, waiting for their overlord to show up. Naruto's head was in Setsuna's lap. Apparently Tamiko told Setsuna about the days, and she decided to test it out. So here Naruto was, lying on his stomach, drool coming out the corner of his mouth, getting his ears scratched. Kraus stared at Naruto with jealousy in his eyes. Lucky bastard. He grinned though. There are tons of demon babes out there for me to pick though. Rozalin came in and her eyes narrowed when she stared at Naruto and Setsuna. Naruto, stop being a pervert and get up. We are getting ready to go. Naruto's eyes went wide and he jumped to his feet. Well then, let's pay the demoness a visit, said Naruto, grinning. His eyes shone with a strange lust for battle. The vassals backed up when they felt an aura of power coming from Naruto. Sorry, got a little excited there, said Naruto sheepishly. Now that my pet just proved my point about him being a battle maniac, let's go, said Rozalin. Naruto scowled before following his overlord, muttering something along the lines of evil women with power. A gunshot followed by swearing was heard throughout the whole castle. Tessa's fortress. Wait, we're breaking in there? Asked Tommy, pointing at the 7-story steel fortress. Rozalin nodded while the vassals just stared at her. You have got to be kidding. Please tell me you're kidding, pleaded Kraus. No. This is Tessa's fortress. Now stop being a bunch of whiny babies and let's go, ordered Rozalin. The vassals just sobbed as they snuck inside the fortress main corridor. The group had sweat drops running down the back of their heads. Now this is just plain ridiculous, muttered Marl with her eyes as little brown dots. Lots of hallways going in random directions. Some were even going up the wall. Any ideas? Asked Tamiko. How about going home? Said Karai. Stop whining, shouted Rozalin. We split up into groups. Are you kidding? You never watched a horror movie before? Asked Kraus. Horror movie. Such things are below a noble. Well, let me enlighten you, princess. They always pick the characters off one by one, starting with the dumb blonde chick. Kraus was shot in the knee for that last remark. Carrera sighed before healing his leg. Regardless, if we stick together, this will take much longer than it should. The vassals just groaned but winced when Rozalin fired a warning shot in the air. We will move in 5 groups of 2, said Rozalin. No doubt the princess wants to have a little alone time with the commander, whispered Kraus to Kajimir. The little mage just smirked but ducked when he heard Rosalin's gunfire at the duo. I don't need to rely on Naruto to survive, said Rozalin. She turned around and stepped on a trap panel. A arrow was launched at her and she nearly screamed if it wasn't for Naruto slicing the arrow in 2 before it hit her. You don't need Naruto to survive, said Karai with a smirk on her face. Perhaps I should stay with the princess, she is a bit danger-prone and she has a big mouth too, said Naruto. Rozalin fired at him but to her shock, he cut the bullet in 2 before it hit him. Trust me, princess, I don't think you want to try to injure me here. I'm better off not being a hindrance, said Naruto. He was oddly serious for a battle-happy maniac. Instead of moving in teams of 2, we're going teams of 5. What? Shouted Rozalin. That would take forever. True, but with a team medic on both sides, there is a less chance of one of us dying here. Stop thinking about your reputation and think about your soldiers' lives, said Naruto. Rozalin was taken back and she was about to slap Naruto. He caught her hand and stared her dead in the eyes. I mean no disrespect, but we are living creatures too, and no one dies on my watch. I will protect those who are precious to me. That is my Nindo, that is my way. Rozalin stared into his eyes and saw the righteous determination to protect his comrades, and she smiled. All right, Naruto, we'll do it your way. Thanks, Rosie-chan. All right, Setsuna, Karai, Tomi and Marl, you're with me. Kraus, Law, Tamiko, Carrera and Kajimir, you're together. For Team 2, Kraus, you're in charge. But Naruto Takeo, it's uneven, said Law. I have an idea but I'm not sure if it will work. He pulled out a scroll and unfurled it. He bit his thumb and wiped his blood on it. He wrapped up the scroll and went through a flurry of seals. Kuchio's no jutsu. Naruto slammed his hand on the ground and a plume of smoke erupted from the ground. A large figure stepped out of the smoke. A green and yellow dragon growled at Naruto before licking his face. Where the hell did that dragon come from? Asked Kraus as he took a step back. Tamiko squealed before hugging the giant confused lizard. Well, while training in the item world, I decided to take a souvenir back with me, so I captured a dragon. His name is Omega. The green dragon turned to Naruto and licked his face. Down, boy. Go with Tamiko and the others, okay? The dragon nodded and began following Kraus down a hallway. Team 1. Alright, be ready for any sort of trap, whispered Naruto. His group nodded. Tomi stepped on a floor tile and it began to sink. Oops, said the little witch. Ah, said Naruto. He heard gears moving and something falling. He looked up and saw the ceiling coming down. OHHH shit. Run, shouted Naruto. Naruto created 5 cage bunchins that grabbed the girls and ran. They barely made it in time before being crushed by the ceiling. I said be careful, hissed Naruto. Tomi's eyes began to shimmer with tears. Naruto looked around frantically. Sorry. Don't cry, I didn't mean to sound so harsh, it's just that I was a shinobi before becoming a demon, and traps like that meant the enemy knew we're here. Old habits die hard. I didn't mean anything by it, said Naruto as he tried to calm the little girl down. She nodded and wiped the tears from her eyes. He picked her up with his tail and she smiled happily as she got to ride on his back. Rozalin stared with jealousy blazing in her eyes. That's my fox, how dare she? Team 2. Now this is just incredibly crappy, muttered Kraus. His group was stuck in a room with swinging pendulum blades. Law grinned before running forward. He jumped up and landed on the swinging blade. This way, it's much easier, said the monk. Kajimir jumped up and landed next to Law. You're right, this is easier. So Team 2 took the higher grounds. Team 1. After walking through another corridor, it was Setsuna's turn to trigger a trap. Does anyone else hear something? Asked the lady warrior. Naruto's fox ears twitched. Now that you mention it, I do hear something. It's getting louder too, muttered Rozalin. Naruto sent a cage bunchin back down the hallway. They waited in silence before Naruto suddenly jolted up. His clone was crushed by a rolling stone. Run, boulder, shouted Naruto. Soon Team 1 took off screaming random obscenities. I hope Kraus and his group are having just as crappy luck as we are, shouted Karai. Don't jinx them, shouted the angel. Times like this, we must hope for the best. Forgot you were from Celestia, muttered Karai while running. Naruto saw Rozalin slowing down before sending a clone to pick her up. This S. I can't wait for my vacation, thought Naruto. Team 2. Someone must be laughing at us up there, said Kajimir as he balanced himself on a spire. Great, bottomless pit, how freaking great, said Kraus. Leaping from spire to spire took its toll on the group of demons. Kraus turned to the right and nearly screamed random curses at the healer riding Omega. That's just not fair. Shut up, you weenie. She is the team medic, we can't let her get injured or we're dead, said Tamiko. This is great exercise. My flames of youth are exploding, shouted Law as he balanced on one hand. He jumped from spire to spire, leaving his teammates behind. He is insane, said Tamiko. Everyone, including Carrera and Omega, nodded. Team 1. Soon Team 1 was in a long hallway filled with random opening on the ceiling with light coming down. There were hidden holes on the side of the walls too. On the sides of the floor, pikes protruded from the ground. If that doesn't just scream trap, then I don't know what does, said Rozalin. Naruto had a faint suspicion about this room, so he made a clone. The clone nodded and walked into the light. Instantly poisonous darts shot out from the side of the wall. The clone dispersed, leaving a wide-eyed group. Naruto created another clone and instructed it to stay next to Rozalin. Naruto closed his eyes and steadied his breathing. He took a step back and raced forward. He jumped into the trap and flipped over the darts. Still in momentum, Naruto dodged, twisted and flipped his way over to the other side of the hallway. His teammates clapped at his display of acrobatics. All right, Karai, you're next. Karai gulped before readying herself. Mimicking Naruto as best she could, she jumped through the assault. She sighed in relief when she made it through. Setsuna took out her spear and began twirling it. She ran forward and began swatting away the darts. Not too far away from where Naruto and Karai were, she drove her spear into the ground and used it to pole vault over to them. Naruto caught the lady warrior and she smiled. I thought I was a goner. Team 1 face vaulted when Mal carried Tomi over. The angel used her wings and flew over the darts. Well now, that was smart, said Karai. Now it was Rosalin's turn and quite frankly, she didn't look like she was up to the task. Naruto, please tell me you have a plan for Rozalin getting over here. Asked Tomi. I do. She is going to hurt me for this, but she is going to get over here. Do it. Rozalin looked at him confused but felt someone picking her up. She looked at the clone and by the looks of things, he was going to throw her. Naruto, if you even dare do what I think you're going to do, I am. She didn't get to finish her threat as the clone pumped chakra and mana into his muscles, tossed her at the original. Naruto caught Rozalin and was promptly slapped in the face. The clone snickered before dispelling himself. He saw something very interesting when he tossed Rosie-chan. Naruto's mind was filled with some new info and he grinned. He leant in close to Rozalin. I didn't know the princess wore black lace underwear, whispered Naruto. Rosalin's face turned red and she grabbed him by his neck. As soon as this little adventure is over, I'm going to hurt you. Naruto smirked before leading his team away. Team 2. There comes a time when even the manliest of men have very high-pitched screams. Asked Carrera as she witnessed Krause, Law and even Kajimir scream like girls. Of course this situation warrants it, but it was still funny as hell. They wandered into a room with a falling floor, so now they were running for their lives, again. I don't care if we fight a damned overlord. I'm kicking that bastards for making us go through this, shouted Tamiko. Carrera sat on Omega's back as he flew to the end of the hallway. Tamiko began to slow down and she had to leap to make it. Krause grabbed Kajimir by his arm and both of them jumped over the pit that was so conveniently placed at the end of the hallway. Law was the last to make it and they walked through the door. Team 1. You know, I really don't think this day could get any worse, said Naruto. Team 1 watched as the walls came together with a loud crashing noise before separating. Great moving walls that crush us, how utterly great, muttered Setsuna. Naruto watched the walls moving and he sighed. 4 seconds. They each looked at him. 4 seconds before the next wall moves. Making around 30 seconds before all the walls move at the same time. Anyone have an idea? Asked Karai as she crossed her arms over her ample bosom. Naruto sat down and began to meditate. Any plans, Kyuubi? I got one. How did you keep up with Sasuke's Chidori speed at the Valley of the End? I used a clone to throw me, thanks Fox. No problem, brat. Naruto stood up and created 6 clones. I can guarantee you will not like my plan, but hell, it's the best I got, said Naruto. One of his clones grabbed his arm. All right, stand back. Trust me when I say keep running. Team 1 watched as Naruto's clone began to swing Naruto in a circle. Setsuna's eyes went wide. You can't be serious, said Setsuna deadpan. If this doesn't work, we're going to die. That's why I'm testing it first, said Naruto as he was spun around. The clone waited for the exact moment and let Naruto go. Naruto sped across the floor. He grinned to himself, adrenaline pumping in his veins as he ran down the hallway. The walls crashed behind him. He skid to a stop when he was in the safety zone. Next, Karai sighed. The clone grabbed her arm and began spinning her around. Tomi whimpered as the clone spun her around. Setsuna was crying on the inside, hoping that she would survive this. Rozalin and Mal were praying and hoping they would live. The clones launched the girls forward and they ran forward. Team 2. Give me a break, damn it, shouted Kraus as he and his squad ran down the hallway. A giant boulder, how cliché, muttered Carrera. Stop complaining. You're the one riding a damn dragon, shouted Tamiko. Omega looked slightly offended and tears streamed down his face. She didn't mean that. It's okay, Omega, said Carrera as she petted the emotional dragon's head. Kajimir was sighing to himself. The princess better appreciate this. Law stopped running before getting into a combat stance. Kraus looked over his shoulder before stopping. Law, are you insane? Keep running, shouted Kraus. Law reared his fist back and charged forward. Using a battle cry similar to a certain fishman in the Akatsuki, he rushed forward and punched the boulder. It popped like a balloon. Each of them stared at each other before the popped boulder imitation. Their eyes reduced to little dots and sweet drops fell down the back of their heads. Well, that was new, said Kraus. Team 1. The girls were busy catching their breath while Naruto scouted the area. To his surprise, he found Team 2. Soon the group was together again and they walked towards a large oak door. I don't think this day could any more than it already has, so. Kraus kicked down the door and his jaw hit the ground. Lying on a cushion was Feline Demon. Her room was filled with manga, milk bottles, a canopy-style bed, she had white fur covering her shoulders, and all over her arms. She had a black spandex-like material covering the rest of her body. She even had some of the material covering her face. She brown hair neatly combed down the right side of her head. Her tail swished back and forth as she sipped milk from a straw. She giggled ever now and then while reading her manga. Trap Master Tessa, shouted Rozalin in anger. Her troops, with the exception of Carrera, Naruto and Omega, were either pissed off or tired. Tessa stopped reading her manga and looked at the princess. Good afternoon, Princess Rozalin, said Tessa. She stood up and stretched. The men gawked at her figure and began feeling uncomfortable in the crotch area. Stupid skull uniforms, too damn restrictive around the crotch, muttered Kajimir. Kraus snickered, hearing that from the smart elect mage was refreshing. Surrender or face my wrath, said Rozalin. You might want to, she is pretty pissed off. But a fight sounds good too, said Naruto as he got into his sword stance. From now on, his sword stance is when he puts his left arm behind his back and his right hand rests on his hilt. He bends his knees slightly. Fine, I surrender, said Tessa. Everyone, including Omega and Carrera, fell flat on their faces. What the hell? We went through all that and you're just going to give up? Shouted Setsuna. This castle is boring, no one visits me anymore. Besides, I could use the exercise. I got kind of lazy here. But, the money you stole, stuttered Rozalin. Stole? Oh, you see, your father made a bet with me one time. He said that I wouldn't be able to build a fortress that keeps any wood assassins out. Turns out I proved him wrong. So what did Zenon bet? asked Kraus. His daughter's allowance and funding, said the cat demon with her tail swishing happily. Rosalin's eye twitched and she began rubbing her temples. Why were there so many traps here though? Asked Carrera. Traps. I left those things on. Whoops, said the demon with a sweet drop going down the back of her head. Everyone hit the floor again. Outside the fortress. Today, Ed so much. I really don't think it could get any worse, said Kraus. As fate would have it, the day is about to get a lot crappier. A girl with red pigtails approached the group. She had a squad of prinnies with her. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he eyed her attire. She wore a skimpy armor on her chest. Even though she is flatter than Sakura, thought Naruto. She had a mini skirt that had slits on the side. You know, if she actually hit puberty, she might even be hot, whispered Kraus to Kajimir. Both of the guys began snickering. Hey you, the broad in the dress. You're Zenon's daughter, right? Asked the girl. Rozalin looked confused for a second. Yes I am, why? Good. Now I can you and take your throne, said the girl as she cracked her knuckles. Rozalin began laughing, which pissed the girl off. Naruto took a step back when the warning sirens in his head went haywire. Something is wrong here. Her power, it's incredible. What's so funny? Said the girl. My name is Demon Lord Etna. You'll do best to remember it. Demon Lord. I kind of figured Demon Lords were kind of, you know, busty, not flat-chested, blurted out Kajimir. Hell, I think my sister has bigger than you. Tomi hit her brother in the head with her staff, yelling bloody murder. That was the last straw. Dark mana began to gather around Etna as she brought her hand up. You know what, I was just going to beat the crap out of you, but now, I think I'm going to you all, said Etna with her power growing. Takeo, any idea how to get out of this one? Muttered Law. Nope. I guess we fight, muttered Naruto as he dropped into his stance. The team drew their weapons. Tessa chose to fight with a pair of tiger claws strapped to her fists. For those who have played Dynasty Warriors, just think of Zhang He's weapons. Etna grinned. She brought out her elder spear and sent her prinnies to attack. Naruto jumped from his spot and quickly unsheathed his sword. Wind cutter. Naruto launched a wind blade at her and she smirked. She slapped the arc away and watched as it hit a tree. Not bad, blonde. If you were to live you might have became a powerful demon lord. That actually nicked my hand, said Etna with a grin on her face. Naruto's eyes went wide. Oh me sideways, this day did just get worse. Everyone take care of the prinnies. I'm going to try to fight the demon lord. Key word being try, said Naruto while whimpering. Naruto ran forward and jumped in the air. He knew he was fighting a losing battle, but for his comrades' sake, he would take her and whipping here and there for them. Etna smirked. Using her superior speed, she appeared behind Naruto. Too slow, Foxy. Naruto turned around only to be backhanded into a tree. He hit it with a sickening crunch. Carrera rushed to his side and began healing him. Forget me, take care of the prinnies and then run. I will hold her off for as long as I can. But Naruto Takeo. No buts, go, shouted Naruto. Carrera nodded and told the others. Soon the prinnies were eliminated, much to Etna's surprise. Well, what do you know? You weren't as weak as I thought. You actually defeated my prinny squad, said Etna with a grin. She looked at Naruto and attacked him again. She hit him in the stomach with her knee and he was brought to his knees. She grabbed him by his hair and yanked him upward. You know, you're pretty cute. I could use another vassal to kick around. Besides, there is a lack of eye candy around nowadays, said Etna. Sorry Etna, I already belong to a psychotic woman, grinned Naruto despite the pain he was in. So sad, maybe I should her and take you with me. After all, to the victor goes the spoils. She reared her spear back and plunged it into Naruto's stomach. She drove him into the ground and smirked. He gritted his teeth as blood pooled in his mouth. Manu. A scream here and there would be more pleasant to hear. Oh well, I know just the thing to get you hollering. Her hand cackled with a red lightning. She gripped her spear, shocking Naruto. The vassals turned when they heard Naruto screaming in pain. Never before have they heard Naruto screaming before. Rosalin's eyes went wide with horror as she watched smoke come from his body. Naruto. Stay there, shouted Naruto. Quote exclamation mark. Run away. We can't win. Rozalin wanted to run but Naruto was still there. Go damn it. Forget me and go. No can do boss, said Kraus as he readied his sword. We're your vassals, if you fight, we fight, said Setsuna. Everyone nodded and got ready. Ah, how sweet, it must be nice. Don't worry, I'll you all at the same time so you can be together. Etna pulled her spear out of Naruto and walked towards the group. Naruto began to lose consciousness and the last thing he saw before his world turned dark was his group being hit with a giant ball of mana. No. Mental realm. Naruto stood on a giant square block of land in the sky. His eyes were unfocused and distant. Am I so weak that I can't protect my friends? You are not weak, Naruto-kun, came a soft motherly voice. Your spirit is proud, the will of fire burns bright in your heart and the desire to protect those precious is great, said a darker, more masculine voice. You have the power to save them, Naruto. It is in your blood, said the feminine voice. My blood. Yes, the blood of the angel surfaces, said the woman. Soon the blood of the Overlord will follow, said the man. Go Naruto. Awaken to the blood of light, shouted both of the voices. I will save my comrades. Battleground. Etna smirked at the pathetic group in front of her. A quick blast of mana and they were floored. She had to admit, considering the level difference, they put up a good fight. Well, this was fun, but it's time to end this. She stood in front of Rozalin and reared her spear back. She was about to stab her when a hand grabbed her spear. She turned to the intruder and gasped. There was Naruto, but he was different. His hair was now a beautiful sheen of silver with a blue ribbon tying his hair in a ponytail. His eyes were a deeper blue than before. He wore a pure white mantle around his neck and white and blue uniform. A blue battle robe and white pants. His tails turned silver and the wrapped around his waist. I will not allow you to my comrades, said Naruto. Gripping Etna's spear with two hands, he flung her away. Etna landed gracefully and scowled. What the hell? I thought I put you down, fox boy. Naruto held her spear and it merged with his necklace. My spear. What did you do, you? Naruto remained speechless. He held out his hand and a white ball materialized in his hand. One could see wind, mist and feathers floating inside the ball. Another day. Demon Lord Etna. Naruto slammed the sphere on the ground and it exploded in a shower of mist and feathers. Etna growled when she lost sight of them. When the storm died down, they were gone. Etna turned to a tree and blew it up. Damn fox. I'll get you for this. Rosalin's castle. The group appeared in front of the hospital. May was reading her book and she spotted the weakened group. What the hell happened? Shouted May as she dropped her book. Naruto fell to the side, unconscious from wasting so much mana and chakra. Rozalin began shaking him. Naruto. Get up. Get up now, screamed Rozalin. Hospital. Ow, where am I? Asked Naruto. He was no longer in his transformed state. You're finally awake, said Tessa. Naruto turned to the cat demon and groaned. Rozalin was worried sick. She wouldn't stop worrying about her top vassal, said the cat demon, grinning. Naruto tried to sit up, but one of the nurses pushed him back down. It was a succubus wearing a nurse's uniform. A very tight light pink uniform. Don't move, you're still injured, said the succubus. She had a predatory smirk on her face. Her fellow nurse, which happened to be a necromancer, both had their eyes on the sleeping patient. Of course, with Rozalin breathing down the poor boy's neck, they didn't have much of chance to get to know him, but now. All right, I'll go tell the princess you're alive, said Tessa. She walked away and closed the door behind her. Pure and utter anger. That was the look that was etched on Rosalin's face when she opened the room door. There was Naruto, taken advantage of due to his weakened state. That damn succubus was rubbing his shoulders while the necromancer sat on his lap nuzzling his face. Hey QB, you were wrong, I barely lasted 3 days without being molested. Kit. Rozalin is here. Oh come on. I just got up. At least you die getting some form of action. True. 10 minutes later, which included hussy beating. Naruto hugged his pillow in fear. QB was happy he was in the sword and not where Naruto is. She scares me sometimes, says the guy who pushes her buttons. QB, does she seem a bit possessive? Possessive is an understatement for the feelings she is emitting. Rozalin sighed and smoothed out the wrinkles in her dress. She looked at Naruto and slapped the shit out of him. What the hell did you think you were doing? Shouted Rozalin. They were taking advantage of me, said Naruto, confused by the slap. No, you fool. Fighting that demon lord on your own and then wanting us to leave you behind. Oh, that's how I always was. The need to protect my comrades. I figured if she was strong enough to defeat me, you guys wouldn't stand much of a chance. So if someone had to take one for the team, I was going to do it. Fool, you could have died, said Rozalin. Rather than let my comrades die, then so be it. Rozalin growled angrily and she lunged at him. She sat on his stomach and she reared her hand back. She stopped when she saw the look in his eyes. Despite being at her mercy, he still had that determined look in his eyes. Are you that mad at me for wanting to protect you? Rozalin bit her lip, her eyes watering. You're a fool. I really thought you were going to die, whimpered Rozalin. When I heard you screaming in pain, it hurt me to see you like that. It hurt me to see you wanting to fight so hard just so we could live. I'm sorry, Rozalin. I didn't mean to hurt you, whispered Naruto. She got off his stomach and wiped her eyes. Get some rest, Naruto. I want you in tip-top shape soon so we can train again. I don't want a repeat performance of today, said Rozalin. As you wish, your majesty, said Naruto as he closed his eyes. Rozalin made sure no one was looking and she walked over to Naruto. She kissed his cheek and ran off. K.